But let's even talk about the fact that maybe like we not really starting off with these things, but you experience these traumas and these things at early ages. You don't have a resolve to it. Then things get added on. After a while, if you're not processing this shit, it's gonna change your brain a bit.
Welcome back to another episode of The Space We Create, where we gather to show vulnerability in the spaces that we occupy. I am your host, Aaila, and I know I always say I have a very special guest, but this is actually a very, very special guest. You are. I always tell everyone they're special because they are special,
Sure,
but
of course.
you are like extra special.
Thank you.
So,
So are you? Oh my God! Here you
you.
go. Here you
That just made me so happy and warm inside.
go.
I want you to introduce yourself. You do so many things. You're so like well versed, so diverse.
um, yeah. I mean, I'm from Baltimore. I live in Brooklyn. I'm Brittany. Um, like I said, from Baltimore, based in Brooklyn. I've been working in the tech industry for about 12 years now. Also work in music, consult with artists. Um, I'm just on different creative projects, creative director, just hands on a bunch of things.
Yeah, see, I wouldn't have knew to say half of that.
We in the multi hyphenate era now and spreading our wings and such. So, but also really passionate about mental health. That's like the through line and the core of my work. So all of it really centers around that, really.
I love that you mentioned the multi hyphenate part because I feel
Yeah.
like that has been the theme of almost every episode
Oh,
I've
word.
done,
No,
where,
yeah, for
where
sure.
everyone's discussing just how like they can't be boxed in and
Nah.
they're doing so many different things.
Nah, we passed that. I think I mean everything's shifting, right? Like basically after the pandemic, there's just a new world in everything. Whether you're looking at the industry, just as an individual, just however you look at it. But definitely when you look at a creative or entrepreneur or these different things, or even a music artist, you really can't play in one lane. Like you have to diversify yourself
Yeah.
in different ways, and I think that the people that are really going to be the catalyst for change are folks that can connect the dots across like different industries or different mediums or whatever that is. But the the value and the magic going forward is going to be the multidisciplinary approach.
I love that. And it's so funny too because I wanted to tell you this yesterday, but I was like, I'm gonna wait. I was going through. I had found an old SD card that was in my first camera that I bought. I don't even know if you remember this, but when we were hanging out in Baltimore, we went to some like I don't know. I don't think it was a festival. I think it was like a oh my gosh. I don't know if it was like a market thing, but it was like a bunch of different vendors outside. We ran into someone you knew who was doing it, and I can't remember if it was like juices that they were doing. I know
Okay.
they had like fruits and stuff
Okay.
there. Who the heck was it? But I was like, oh,
Yeah. I want to see if
Brit.
you still. I don't know if you still
Look
got
at
it, but
Brit.
yeah.
It was so cute because I was like, it just reminded me of like seeing you last year when I saw you, and then seeing you at that because I think that was the first time I saw you since. Wow, damn, it was.
Yeah.
It
So
didn't
that
feel
probably-
like
that-
it.
Yeah, that had to be like 2015-ish.
Yes.
The market you're talking about. So yeah, almost 10 years later.
So then, like seeing you, I'm like, wow, because I always was inspired by you in that time too, because I thought with just what you were doing in tech, even though I really didn't understand what the
Yeah,
hell you were
nobody-
actually doing,
nobody does,
I was just like, wow, like this motherfucker is doing it like bigger than what I've seen other people around me do. And it was inspiring because if you're not really around people who are in different industries from yourself doing something like that, it's just not something that you're like, I don't know, just cognitive or aware of. But I always just liked how you were so well versed in so many different areas from when I knew you, and you were connected to different types of people.
Yeah.
So it's like even your crowd wasn't linear or just based on a creative thing. It was like, no, they know all types of
Yeah,
people.
just being in different communities, you know, and I think that's a big part of my work too. Is it's always been like just bringing people together. I think that's really important, you know, going forward as well because, you know, people really looking for connection too. You know, like I don't know if I seen this on Instagram, but they said the WHO organization, the World Health Organization, said that like loneliness is like an epidemic now. Like you know, like it's worse than smoking 15 cigarettes a day. You know, in terms of you know what it's doing to people, right? And so I'm just really interested in what that looks like going forward. Like just bringing more people together. I used to throw kickbacks, you know. Since I was in high school, so it's
kickbacks. I went to
yeah,
with you.
Yeah, you know. So it's just a natural extension of what you know we all been doing, right?
Yeah,
And, you know, what form does it take, you know, as we grow and what do the people around us need and how can we contribute to that? You know, so I think, like you said, it's just all the worlds and all the interests coming together and moving forward with that.
Look at you.
Yeah.
And that's why you're so extra, extra special, just because the whole, no, for real, like, I feel like when I was in Baltimore at the times that I was there, and especially when I was around you, and we would go to different, like, I don't know what the hell these events were, but I feel like you had me at so many different types of events that I was never going to in DC or anywhere else. It was like, no, this is my experience of creativity throughout my entire years and living in the DMV, Baltimore.
Yeah, I met you at, it was called, I remember now, I met you at a event Conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
I remember it's a woman, Sierra Leone, that's her IG.
Yes.
And she played Nina Simone as well in a play, but that was her thing.
I remember her.
Yeah, and so, you know, that's an example of like how important, you know, these things are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if I wasn't in Baltimore at that time, which is why I love when I hear people talking about Baltimore in a negative way. Because I feel like if I didn't meet any of y'all there, I probably wouldn't have had like a Baltimore experience or even a perspective of what Baltimore was.
Yeah, for sure.
But then I was like, it created space for me to like insert myself to be like, oh no, don't do Baltimore like that.
Yeah,
Baltimore is a beautiful city.
Oh yeah.
And if you're like, are you from Baltimore? I'm like, no, but like most of the creatives I met in that time of getting out the military and figuring out what the hell I wanted to do came from Baltimore.
Yeah, that's real. That's dope.
And Baltimore has been so special because like I always think about that, like, wow, I met some of the most creative people who really like helped me propel with like poetry because I was doing more like spoken word stuff in Baltimore.
I remember that, yeah.
And it was just so interesting.
And you were starting, that's when you first were talking about pursuing psychology and like the path you're on now,
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so it's dope to see where you at now.
Ain't that crazy?
Yeah, I remember.
I feel like I gotta owe that to Baltimore.
That's dope. That's good to hear.
I really.
That's dope. I mean, you don't hear a lot of stuff like that, and that's fine. Like we know the magic of it.
Yeah.
But you know, that's just the duality of anything, really. You know, it ain't all good. It's not all bad. It's, you know, it's just what it is.
And it makes me appreciate the diversity of the DMV because I feel like people who aren't from there, they see it as just one thing.
Well,
like,
Baltimore,
it's DC and
Baltimore
we
ain't never in that DMV.
And I always say that too. I'm
that
like,
shit
well,
on the outside. Yeah.
It's so interesting because they're a part of it.
Nah.
It's like its own.
We not in that DMV
conglomerate.
Yeah. It's cool though.
But how do you feel about like? Have you just normalized it, or would you still want it to be?
I mean, no, it's fam. Like DC is fam. Like that's like big bro. Like
yeah.
You know, I mean, we make our way down to Virginia, but I'm just saying, I'm not about to sit up there and say I'm from the DMV. Really, like I'm from Baltimore. That's all. But it's mad love to everybody. Philly,
I know it's just so funny when you're from
cousins.
up there.
Like, we lit.
That's what I be trying to tell people. I'm like, it's really close. DC people go to Baltimore and vice versa.
No, that's fam. That's fam all day, for sure.
Do you feel like there's been like a huge shift for you, like being in the creative scene in Baltimore and then going to
New York,
the Big Apple?
That's a good question.
I always wondered if the creativity was the same too.
It's different a bit. I think I've seen, not even I think, I've seen the creative community evolve over the past, 5-10 years for sure, from the time that I moved in 2017 to now. And anybody will tell you that, whether you still live in Baltimore or whether you moved outside of it, a lot of more opportunities, more funding, more people stepping up to create spaces. I know that I need to even be down there more as well, and just reconnect in those ways. What makes New York, specifically Brooklyn, different is just the logistics of the fact it's a very walkable city. So you literally bumping into people, right? Like cafes, this event down the street or whatever, and everybody try and build, really. You know what I mean? And so these opportunities, come up a bit more organically. And again, I mean, you're obviously getting people that are moving there from all parts of the world, all parts of the country, and you do get exposed to all types of stuff that you're not really going to see unless you maybe take a leap in different ways. It doesn't have to be, to go to New York. It could be whatever, but whatever the scenario is, you just, it's going to be hard to stay where you at and really get inspired, because you need exposure to get more inspiration. And so just even on a cultural level, like just getting exposed to so many different ethnicities and races, even across the diaspora, like that I didn't really know about like that. Like, one of my close friends, like I legit, when I first met her, I thought she was Dominican. Like that was the closest thing I could associate with somebody that was like, like caramel skin with like really curly hair in that way, right? But she was East African. She's from Eritrea. I had no idea. It's just it wasn't something we really seen in Baltimore like that. And there's more examples of that. But even just again, exposure on all the levels you could think of. And I would also say being very close to brands and the creative agencies, advertisement agencies, and these are the people that are your friends and you partying with. So you're learning in those ways too, right? These are the folks that are creating your favorite products and ads and all these things. Because any global brand has a touch point in New York, like if you're going global in some way. So I think all these things contribute to just your expression, just how you find yourself, your purpose, and these things like that, and different mediums, and So I think it's different in that way. It's faster, it's bigger, but in that respect, like moving there just was like nothing's too big. Like any dream that you have it's not too big because people are already thinking that way, or they already done it. Because really nothing's new under the sun. You just flipping it and adding to it, right? But if Kanye has said this too, and some other people, but if you're constantly talking to people that don't understand your vision and what you're doing, that could discourage you, or you not. It'll be hard to like grow it in that way. But then when you put yourself in places where it's like, you saying I want to do this, and then okay, go do it. It's just a whole different. It just becomes more possible. And not only that, you're connected with more resources and networks and things like that to make it possible. So
that's why I need all of the community to leave their
areas but real shit. Baltimore is lit. Like that's the place. That's the place to be. That's the next, because people getting pushed out of Brooklyn. That's happening.
I keep hearing about that.
It's happening. It's happening in DC.
Yeah.
And then if you live in New York, you're not trying to be in the city. The only place you're really gonna be is Brooklyn. So if we can't afford it, where you gonna go? And that migration has already started to Baltimore anyway. So that could be it. Yeah, for sure. Damn. But still having connections. I think it's important. Like just again having community in different places, because when you build community in New York, Usually, you're also building it in LA too, because folks are going back and forth. Atlanta is a really good place to be. I think from Black creative business perspective, and you just got to build your network out.
Yeah.
That's been my approach to stuff.
I love that. I hope they take heed to that because I feel like that was a very good
On every
build
level,
your network out.
personal, creative, however you want to look at it. Like the reason I'm even down here is like I was like, shit, I need to get out of New York because I need to go see my friends in different places, like to just restore yourself to ground.
So speaking
So
of restoration and grounding, of course, how do you ground yourself? Because I feel like this would be good for people who are in like very like city-like areas or who aren't close to like water or nature and stuff. So how do you ground yourself in a busy city and during your travels?
Yeah, well, the two places that I've been in most do have water around. So coming from Baltimore, like dealing with the shit we went through, sitting at the harbor was a lot of solace, for a lot of us, and just being able to be around, Fells, Canton, these different areas. So New York is a similar, like, it's an island. Like, I don't know if people know it, but it's surrounded by water. So, so we have that. So to me, water is important, just to sit and reflect. So that's a way. But in other places where you might not have that, parks, like nature, anything with nature, like, is going to be a big one. Like, one, think about it's free, it always will be. And it's just the earth. It's where we came from, right? It's just knowing the connection between that and our bodies and stuff like that. Just learning that more over time, and I think knowing when you have to get out of a city and try and go to somewhere else where that nature is. That's been big for me too. Like when I'm in New York too long, like I feel it. Like it's like you feel it in your body. Like it's not good. But if you stay in a city, I mean, you got to see what that looks like for you. But again, like community is important. Simple things like even just having dinners, with each other, getting back to that type of stuff, like not as much going out as much as it is like the intimate, the one-on-ones, the having people over type of thing. That type of connection is really important. Even just having your own kind of routine in the morning and stuff, that's what I'm working on. I'm trying to get better at that.
Too.
So it's like a reset every day type thing. Drink, get the tea. I got a prayer and gratitude journal that I try to keep up with every day. But I'm getting there. That does help, just figuring out what meditation looks like. I used to use the Chopra app. So I'm trying to see if I'm gonna go back into that or something else. But those type of things like that. I'm trying to think what else. It could be so many different things, right? It's just like what brings you back into your body, like like it could even be. I'm gonna go shoot around, it could be movement, it could dancing, but it has to be intentional though. I think it has to be intentional, because there's a lot of partying. Motherfuckers not happy out there. You can tell.
Yeah. You could tell.
Yeah, and it's like, okay. But yeah, I think it's just intentional, and it's kind of to the individual. But nature is always going. That's universal. That's universal.
I like what will bring you back to yourself.
Yeah, and your body.
I like that.
Yeah, I mean, grounding is that's what I had to learn. I remember one of my friends that actually lives here now. I met her at IBM. She was like, "You need somebody that's gonna ground you." Remember, she was like in terms of like a compatible like partner,
Earth
whatever.
sign.
Yeah, like an earth sign. Because I'm airy, all up in my head, moving all around. And so later in life, I was like, oh, this is what she was talking about. So, you know, whatever.
You're Aries?
No, I'm an air sign. I'm a Gemini.
I was gonna say,
Nah,
I
I'm
thought
Gemini.
you were Aries sign.
Yeah, but you know, we fly. You know, and especially in my 20s, I was all over the place. But as I got older, I was like, oh, this is what she meant. And it's also how you eat.
Yeah.
How you eat as well. Learning that. Definitely how you eat. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm creating new habits for myself.
I think that's 30s, right? Isn't that 30? That's what we try to figure out in our 30s.
Our habits and stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like it because I'll like have a plan. I'm like, okay, so first of the month, I'm going to wake up at 6 a.m. I'm gonna drink my tea. I'm gonna meditate. I'm gonna spend 10 minutes journaling.
Yeah.
And I'll start like I'll be so good once I start, but then I think once I start having like other stuff to do, I start getting so overwhelmed, and I just be like, oh my God, I can't do this. And I be having to like show myself grace, like, okay,
100%.
it doesn't have to be perfect every single day.
100%. And just knowing that even starting and still doing it repetitively, even if it's not every day, is like that's
because I'll still go back to it. Like I'll still be like, okay,
you still go back.
Like make sure you get up tomorrow at 6 a.m.
And eventually it'll become daily.
Yeah.
You know, but that's better than where I was a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like that's what, you know, the 30s are. It is a level of, it's the grounding, right? It's the integration of the things you learn. Like, you know, the 20s are chaotic. You know, it's all over the place. You learning shit, like, would not repeat.
Hilarious.
Got some great moments.
Yeah.
Don't want to go back to that level of, like, really not knowing what the fuck is going on. But now it's like, it's how do you bring it all together a bit and set yourself up, you know, for the rest.
You so deep.
Nah. We ain't even hit nothing yet. But nah.
No, so I do want to go back to what you said earlier. So the multi-hyphenate.
Yeah.
So being in like the creative world, but also being in the corporate world, how are you finding, like, how are you dealing with the changes that you realize about yourself being in so many different avenues that may align, may not align?
Honestly, what I found, and maybe this is more recently, I don't know, or I just maybe didn't see it the same way before, but definitely now what I'm finding is, and maybe this is just a level of alignment I'm at now in terms of my personal, creative, professional worlds aligning, but what I find now is like whatever I needed to work on in my like relationship, because you know when you in a relationship, especially if it's close and some creative stuff, you know, whatever your things get exposed, right? Like the shit you gotta work on, and so I started to see like whatever I had to work on there also translated to things that would serve me well in different areas as well. You know, whether that's like, trying to think of examples. Just, I don't know, you know, maybe vulnerability. I've always been a vulnerable person, but, you know, what does that look like? How do you keep growing on that? Just how you approach leadership. Just different things. I just was like, oh, like, what I learned there, I can apply. Even, like, maybe confidence as well, you know, just, like, trusting yourself. So, I don't know, it all kind of goes together, right? Because that was my prayer, at least. I wanted everything to come together. Like, I felt like tech was over here, music was over there, film, for example, was over here. It was just all like mental health. Like, it was just all disparate, and I feel like when that happens, and also what I'm seeing in other people, like if those are all your passions, that then would also mean that your soul feels fragmented in those ways, right? And so, you know, you feeling that. It's just like I was like, that was my prayer for a while. Please let all these worlds come together, and that's what I started working towards essentially. And you start getting to a place where you just, and I always been this place, but you show up the same person in every room.
Yeah.
Like I'm the same person. Like the strategy that I have to offer, the thoughts, the perspective, the insight, being able to be objective and hold two truths, like whatever it is, like I'm gonna be the same person no matter what. I don't care if I'm at a big tech company or if I'm in a room with a few people, or if I'm one on one with my partner, like I'm gonna be the same person. And I think that's the goal. And whatever your development, your healing looks like to get to that point, I think that's a good spot to be.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question, but
It did.
but yeah.
I just love my people from up north.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I can always count on the people from up north when they're out here, or people that I've met out here who are from up north, that they're gonna be the same person.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many people I've met where they're one way with me, and then like I'll see them out in a different crowd, and I'm like,
I can't do that.
I'm like, why are you acting like that? You do not act like that.
I don't
You're
really,
lying.
I keep them at a little distance, so you just know what's up. But the way we grew up, like, nah, like, if I don't like something at where I work, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it how I would tell you if we was outside.
See, I just need you to like be around me. I need you to be my like shadow.
Okay.
When I'm in spaces, because I feel like I try to explain that to people in that way, and people perceive it as like, oh, she's being a bitch, or like she's so aggressive, or she's so this, and I'm like, no, I'm going to speak on something. Yeah. If I feel like something is wrong or this is just not working appropriately to what our goal is, I'm not just going to sit here and let it keep happening. Like I'm going to use my voice to say something.
And I've learned there's like ways to say things. I know, because that aggressive thing I heard when I first moved up to New York.
Really?
Because there's two different communities there. If you break it up, there's the people that are from there, and there's transplants.
True.
And you probably gonna dip into the you're gonna pretty much go into the transplant community first. And I won't even tell you my experiences, but that's when I realized we ain't all grow up the same. And that's just facts. We just didn't grow up the same. I don't care if you black.
Yeah.
We didn't grow up the same. People move like different. They move a little weird. Yeah. So, yeah, I got stories.
I really don't like it though, like especially the people that I know from up north, like from back home who moved out here, and I'll see them in different crowds. And I don't know, I guess you do get because the people in Atlanta are around different types of people, like there are a lot of people who are in the scene or whatever the fuck. But what I noticed about the people who moved down here is that like you have people who want to connect with people and it's genuine. It's like you really want to do some dope work. And then you have people who just want to connect to be in the room to see like what's happening in the room.
Interesting.
Like I just want to know you so I can get into this room.
Oh, interesting.
And then that's kind of how I'm going to play this card. And so I've seen them do it. Like I have literally, like even today, I was on Instagram and I'm like, what is she talking about? Why is she's lying?
Yeah. I mean,
she's lying.
Yeah, I'm sure it's all.
And I'm like, that is so odd to me. Because I don't know. I don't like perpetrating a fraud. I'm like, that shit is so.
Yeah.
Why are we acting like that? Why are we doing that?
There's real. But, again, it's getting to the point. How do you get to a point where you don't give a fuck about what anybody else thinks? Like, that's a good place to be. Like,
I just started unfollowing them.
You just you. Like, you don't care about nobody else. Like, you just you. So I think moving around with that level of like, comfortability is you're gonna move a little differently. Yeah. And that grows though, like your identity, like you're gonna learn more of it, over time. But in general, like you don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I think the other thing too I learned like about being multi-hyphenate from what you said, like having so many different layers to you and feeling fragmented. Yeah. I think I noticed that about myself in probably like 2000. Let me see, I moved here at the end of 2018. So I feel like from 2015, I think when I got out of the military, 2014. So I think from 2015 until I moved out here, I did feel like fragmented, and I think that was also the time that my depression and my anxiety was also so bad because I was
yes,
like, what the
that's
fuck,
that's
like.
what it's that's what it is. Like, and that's what I'm noticing now. Like this pattern of like yes, there's a the clinical depression. But there's this artist that I'm working with, and we have our check-ins, and I was like, how you feeling? He was like, I got this existential depression,
That's how he said it.
yeah,
Okay.
and I knew what he was talking about, but I had never heard it that way. But
Me
I was
either.
previously talking to his sister, which is, one of my best friends, and and even just different conversations, it was the same thing of the lack of inspiration, your soul feeling fragmented, like I'm not doing. I haven't found what I really, 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 really want to do, or what's the pathway to do that, and then that leading to the depression,
Yeah.
like versus it being like, I mean, the clinical part is real as well, seasonal, all of that is real,
Yeah.
but there's also this other category of just like your soul and your spirit,
Yeah.
and how does that relate to creativity and expression?
Yes. Because I feel like it's so, I don't know. I feel like for me, and just based on like some of the creatives I've experienced and a lot of the creatives who like passed on, who I find the most interesting, because I feel like their mental health was so like pivotal in the times that they were known to be huge creators just for Black culture. And you always hear about like their mental health and what they were dealing with. And I don't know. I do think that when you have so much creativity in your mind, it's like your spirit needs your physical self to do it, so that it feels what it needs to thrive in the
And
world.
you got to get it out. You
And
got to
have
get
to
what
get
you
it out.
see.
Yeah.
Like as a like, to me, like art is if you're an artist, like you're of service to other people, right? So you observe things maybe differently. You have different perspectives. You taking in all this information. You've had all this pain and trauma and all this other shit. But you got to get it out. And if you're not getting it out, you want to it's going to combust. Like it's all inside. You're going to feel it in your body. That turns into physical ailments, all this other shit. So you have that, and then another perspective on the whole connection between like mental health and creativity and things like that, and however you define genius is this article I read in the Atlantic, and the last because they be trying to study that, like, because to your point, like a lot of these people, they did have mental, like Albert Einstein, whoever, like they did, and so they try to find a link. But what was really interesting at the end of the article, it was like the reason why, because I have bipolar, so I've seen a lot of this. I understand how a lot of this kind of plays out and can look from external, but it was like, it's a really fine line between, a mental illness and just creative genius, because both people are connecting dots and that people don't see, or making connections that people don't see, right? Because like if you're, if I'm in a manic state or schizophrenic or whatever that illness is, like you really might be saying and seeing shit or whatever. And it really could. I've been in states like when I was manic, I was saying stuff that was real. It's just you're not, you just you grounded.
Yeah.
You're not really in your body to really move on anything. And some of it is not. But then when you in your healthy and sane state, you're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So what is So I just think that's interesting. There's definitely correlations between all that. I think, we need to continue to study these things and observe ourselves and the people around us.
That's so real.
But also, they still don't even, like, where is a lot of this mental illness coming from? Because, yeah, can it be genetic? Some of it is a generational trauma being passed down. Like, we know that that is a thing.
Yeah.
I forgot the term of it, but let's even talk about the fact that maybe, like, we not really starting off with these things, but you experience these traumas and these things at early ages. You don't have a resolve to it. Then things get added on. After a while, if you're not processing this shit, it's gonna change your brain a bit, you know. And then what do these things then lead to, you know? Because I got my diagnosis at 33, which is late as shit. But was that really there earlier? Like,
do you think it was?
Not the whole thing.
Yeah.
You know? Like, so what happened? And even in other people, it's just like, you know, I ain't had that the whole time. Like, what's leading up? And then there's like environmental factors too. Like, you know, we had lead we had lead paint. You know, you got lead in the water, which is still a systemic issue. You know, but
you had asbestos.
All that. So, you know, what if this is just still linked to just being impoverished, oppressed, and all this other shit? I think I was reading something too, like, we treating mental health, but why are we not treating the factors that are causing this? Like the social determinants of health. Like, this is why people are depressed.
Yes.
You know, so we really gotta, so you got all of that, man.
It's like I don't know. And that's kind of also why, well, not kind of, I can't stand, like, insurance and just how the whole healthcare system works, because I always feel like a lot of things are in place for them to obviously profit off of.
Yeah, they're not trying to cure you.
People are like,
it's not preventive, and it's not trying to cure you. It's trying to keep you in the middle, because the profit and the to keep you in the cycle is in the middle. Yeah,
I hate that though. I really hate that I hate it for the younger creatives who are looking up to the older creatives for like guidance on like what to do. How do you manage your mental health? Like, how do you deal with being depressed but going to school and then doing this and doing that? And I don't know, I feel like a lot of them may not have the answers because they either don't know where to go to for like that kind of support, or it's not something that's like spoken of within their community, or they just really can't pinpoint where these things started. Because we get a lot of kids who have different things, and we're trying to pinpoint like, okay, when did you notice the first things? What changes in the environment happened? And then when they start piecing it together, it's like, oh, okay, this was because of this.
Yeah, it's the environment. It's all of that.
The environment is huge.
I used to know the pillars of, it's called SODA though, but you know it, the social determinants of health.
Oh,
That's all there. You gotta look at that.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, like that. So that's, you know, that stuff like that. But you know, what's the upside? The upside is
what's the upside? Why you change it?
No, because the other side is that you do end up, you know, because of the things we've been through, we are so creative. Like, survival breeds creativity, and so when you're having to navigate, right? And imagine we navigate and not even knowing we got a mental illness sometimes. So you got a whole disability that you navigate and still performing high, or whatever the case is, and just how we move on any level, even outside of academics, that route don't even matter. Like, just the ways in which we survive with the conditions, you know, that we have to live in and things we have to overcome is just so much intelligence, you know, comes from that. That shouldn't be the case. You know, we need to address all these issues, but also knowing like you powerful as fuck though. You know, like it's real shit. Like you see it. That's why he try to steal our culture. Yeah. You know, who's behind
every day?
Who's behind a lot of these ads and a lot of this shit you see? Black people. 100%. Yeah, like it's just how it is. Like we got the pulse, we got the pain, we got the feeling. Like we can access. Why do your favorite artists hit? The ones that really hit and last, they have access to a level of pain, that an emotion that everybody doesn't have access to.
That's so fucking deep.
Like it's all. You just gotta turn it around how you turn it around. But you know, even look at, somebody told this to me about how you view Baltimore. It's like, okay, Baltimore is super violent. which hurts and it's always heavy. But it was like that also means Baltimore has a lot of angels. So I was like, oh wow, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's just like,
That's
yeah, it's crazy,
great perspective.
crazy. Like, and then again, if you just, what lens are you looking at this shit on? Spiritual level, spiritual journey, how you placing all of this? Because it is true. Like we got deep, we have deep, just gold.
Yeah.
In our lineages and our culture, and we're being supported. Like whatever your spiritual belief, but we got ancestors, we got angels. Like we're heavily supported.
Yes.
Like we just gotta figure this shit out because they're not going to.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody going to save us. We just gotta build our own shit.
Man, you are me and I am you. I love how you just said all of that though. I needed more people like you out here.
Yeah, well.
Because I feel like even you saying it, like it depends on your lens. So I always, whenever I do have moments where I'm like trying to communicate something and it's very, people will be like, oh my God, that was just so deep. But I've noticed that like if you think in a very complex way and everything is like a why, like, well, why is this like this? Well, why? If you are trying to communicate an idea or a perspective to someone who is a very simple thinker, they don't really ask beyond whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like it's like you're not really going to understand what I'm attempting to express, whether it's within my creativity, the disconnect I feel with my creativity and my spirit, or like just being out of alignment, and kind of like how you were saying when you have, like how you were able to see things that no one else was able to see. I feel like that also just goes with, it goes with your mental health, it goes with your spirituality, it goes with kind of like, honestly, everything, like your entire day to day.
But like, if you're looking at what you just said and you're positioning yourself as the artist or whatever your role is as service to the other, to people, it's your role to make the complex simple. Like, you have to be the bridge. Like, going back to the multi-hyphenates are the translators, they're the contextualizers, they're the bridge builders, they stand in the gap. Like, that's the role. And, like, you have to, like, I remember somebody was telling me, like, you're going to have to speak different languages, but they weren't talking about...
yeah, literally.
It was, and it was like, and it doesn't mean it's more complex, it could be more simple. And then, again, later I got it. But even looking at cultural languages as well, like music is a language, sports is a language, fashion, these are all different things, and therapy lies within all of them. So those are the things I'm interested in. Like, what are the cultural languages? What is the language that people already speak? Where are they at? Because that's where the healthcare systems fail intentionally, because they want you to come to them versus we need to go to the people and speak in a way that's relatable and understandable.
Yeah. I just had to start using like discernment with how, like when I do explain something, and to me it never feels complex, but that's just because I'm always thinking in this way. That's just something I'm used to. But I've had to use discernment because I would like explain things in a simpler way for people to understand. But I've had to learn when to just let someone have it without...
Oh, you talking about like an argument or something like that?
Yeah, because like I'll explain something in a complex, in a way where I'm really just describing it based on like my view of it, and it sounds complex to the other person, to where it's like just a weird like disagreement space where I'm like, this isn't about agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just expressing something that's just different than your norm, like your perspective norm. But you're unable to see this perspective norm, and you're like arguing me about it, and it's like, this isn't what that's supposed to be.
Those are tough.
I'm like, and then I'll be confused because then I find myself in a space of like, okay, no, I really want to explain it to them in a way that they will get, but not in a way that dismisses or diminishes my experience of something.
And I think also knowing...
So language is so interesting.
When it's not the right time for a conversation, because the person has to be able to receive it. I've seen that too. Like it's not time. Yeah. Like, that's a real thing. Because I don't know, for me, I was like, I go from reading the fuck out of you and that not being the move or like, because like there's no receptivity or there's no like, and I don't want to do that, So it's just like, well, it's just not the time.
Yeah, I be having to let it go. I think I really started getting good at doing that here. Because before I had a problem with like trying so hard to get someone to see it that I'd be like, now I'm losing my mind trying to get you to see something that you're not ready to see right now.
And even just looking at the need to convince, like, is that even necessary?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that, again, who do you have to prove anything to? Yeah, I think looking at that too.
Yeah, I healed the fuck out of that.
Yeah, and I think that's what I was saying too earlier. What I was thinking about earlier too, about being able to be the same person in any room.
Yeah.
Not giving a fuck, knowing that you don't have anything to prove to anybody. Like that's a good place to be.
Drops
Yeah,
mic.
that's it.
I'm doing that. I'm definitely doing that a lot more this year too, because I'm connecting with so many different types of people. But I'm also like, when we were leaving our walk the other day, I had made a video because I was like, I'm so grateful to God and all of its creations for like connecting with my tribe.
Yeah.
Because there used to be a thing where people would be like, when do I connect with my people? Like, especially if you're not close with like your family or you don't have just a lot of support.
Yeah.
And you see how other people are meeting, like having these friendships and they're doing these things. It's like, where's my tribe? And you want it to happen, and really, you want it to happen at a young age. But I feel like everyone wants it to happen like in their 20s, because that's when you're really outside.
Yeah.
But I realized like now is actually the time for me because of what I'm doing outside.
I think it's always, community and tribe are always important. Chosen family, that was a term I had learned up in New York. There's a book called The Spirit of Intimacy that I think is good to read. It's a woman, I forgot exactly where she was from, but she was just taking principles and practices from the Dagara. I don't say it's a religion, but it was like a tribe or whatever in a part of Africa, and they treat community as a spirit itself, and
which makes sense. Yeah.
The book was incredible, and it just was relating, just healing, creating, whatever it is. It doesn't happen in isolation. And Bell Hooks said the same thing, and all of these things translate between the personal relationship to the community relationship, and all of it needs to be done and held and supported in community. And what I saw up in New York, I had came later than a lot of people because I came at like 29, and a lot of them come like right after college or like before 25, and so it's like this thing of like, you really don't have the tribe or community yet, or you're leaving a place where you weren't accepted or wasn't feel like home because of your sexuality or whatever the things are. So you're looking for that. You come there looking for that. I wasn't necessarily coming looking for that because I ended up finding it, but I did see that I knew community very early because of basketball, and since middle school, and it was just dope. It was such a tight, dope community that grew, and even through college, we had other people come into it because they were coming from their cities to the different schools in Baltimore, and it was just amazing, just understanding it in that way. And we had our own community around, us being like little gay people, hippo. I mean, all these different
little gay people.
Yeah, I mean, you just had different communities, and I had a pretty strong sense of family. So then, when I saw what it looks like when you don't have that, I think you just see the importance of it. And then I also saw there's a difference between, because when you go to a place, you like fresh meat or whatever, so everybody like, fucking with you, it's cool. There's a difference like between people fucking with you and you being, you touching different, tribes and communities and all that, versus like having your own and being in one. The sense of belonging is different.
Yeah, Damn,
right?
that's so true.
It's different. Like you would have a lot of people fucking with you and not have a community. So you really gotta find community. You really gotta. That's like that's you know, and it goes back to the connection and the loneliness part. Like we gotta solve that issue, which is something I'm working on. But it's
something you working on.
Yeah.
So, but I did want to ask you because I think this would be good for like people watching, in regards to connecting with community and building a tribe. What does that look like for you in regard to the support around the things you're learning about your mental health?
Well, community support was critical. Like that's why I'm still here. Cause I in 2020 I went through. You know, we were all going through shit, and I was on this crazy project, and I was grieving a whole bunch of things that led to. I had my first psychosis, like a psychotic episode. Came out of nowhere, ended up in a house, you know, in a psych ward for 6-7 days. So that just started the next phase of my life, basically. Yeah. And man, I had a network. It was a support, you know, in New York, but just in different places, in Baltimore and Dallas and wherever I was, because I was moving around. That's kind of part of the mania that sometimes happens before psychosis. Like, I support in different cities, and my mother was critical to that. Like, she had a group, she had a separate group text with all of my, like, friends on it that I didn't even know about. To make sure that I was good, because I was still, even though I wasn't out of mania, I was still traveling, because that's part of you, like you know, you impulsive and all this other stuff. So I'm still in. I'm in South Africa. You know, had to have a support system there. Like one of my friends, you know, came with me and things like that. But it's a bunch of different examples. But they were just critical. Like I don't know. Like it was just all my, like, a lot of my close friends just coming together to help in different ways.
I love that.
It was crazy. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was, and you know, everybody doesn't have that. You wish that they did. So we got to figure out how to
create that for them.
How to create that, because you can't do this shit alone.
I just had an idea.
Can't do this alone. You had an idea?
Like a really, really good idea.
What is it?
For that, like people who are either experiencing like loneliness, or they're just struggling with their own mental health, or they are noticing like things around certain things that they may, like they think they have. But either there being some type of like chat line that you can plug yourself into and say, hey, you know, I'm so-and-so, I'm in this area, you know, I'm experiencing blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, it could be someone like me that's responding, and I'm like, okay, hey, you know, we have community here. We would love to connect with you and maybe do like something outdoors or something like that, where it's like someone will be there and, like, available to you. Either like two or more people will show up for you. Good.
We should link up on that, because that can integrate with what we're working on in terms of how do you kind of leverage technology to connect people in these ways. So that's a good idea.
Because we were just talking about that too with technology. And I feel like that's like the good thing.
Yeah,
with technology. Yeah. Like you
I'm in tech, and I'm like, everybody should be afraid of tech. Like where it's going, like it's not good. It's not
especially with the AI stuff. The AI stuff kind of scares me.
It's not good at all.
Well, a lot of it.
So if you're going to use it, you need to use it to facilitate more in real life.
Positive change.
And that's really it. Yeah.
I didn't ask you when we started how you felt, and I told you that I was going to ask you that.
That's probably better, because I told you how I felt.
You did? Oh, yeah. Okay, you did. Yeah,
I'm good now, though.
Well, how do you feel now?
It's good. It was a good conversation. This the end of it? Should I say it?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. That's why I say. I was like, let me just check before I be like, oh, that was really good. No, I feel better.
Better.
Yeah, it feels good.
Like a scale of 0 to 10.
I mean, I got a lot of shit to do and I'm hungry, so you know.
You did say you was hungry.
Yeah, so.
And you do have a lot of shit. That's
But
what I like about you too. Is that I like people are busy with stuff they're doing that's aligned just with their like everything. It's like, damn, you are really like living your life, not just existing. You're living your life.
And then I realized that there's a difference between that.
Yeah, just
at one
existing.
point, like there's a difference between living and existing. Yeah, I think you just gotta go with it. Like I forgot that this was even filmed visually. left my head. Yeah, you just gotta roll with it.
I think it's gonna be great because it's so raw. That's what I love.
And you gotta be alright with that. Yeah. You gotta be okay with that.
It's like, raw. It's real.
You can't control everything, you know. So you really don't got control of much. So
yeah, but I really appreciate you taking your very valuable time out.
I wish I was earlier.
Little old me.
Nah, we've been talking about it. It's dope to see like you just talking about it in September and to see like the space you have and everything is just beautiful to see ideas, especially good ideas, come to fruition.
Yeah.
So I'm just really excited for you for sure, and yeah, happy to be here and catching up from I guess almost 10 years ago.
Ain't that crazy?
In that way.
But it was like when I saw you the last time, it felt like
yeah, and it should be.
I had just seen you.
Yeah, and those are the best friendships to me. I mean, that's time and space, not a thing. You're so dramatic.
Oh my god!
That's how you do every podcast.
No.
Okay.
Only with very, very important people, very, very special people. You're a very, very, very special person.
I appreciate it. No, this is dope.
You really are. And I hope you know. Well, I'm sure you do know that you are just special in general. Creative in general, very intellectual, very like encouraging and thoughtful and considerate. Like when you were I love when people just consider me in small things because it's like, damn, they didn't have to do that. But she asked me if I wanted anything. And I just thought that was so.
More people should.
I mean, it's so you, but it's like.
But like little shit like that, like we should all be treating each other like that. You know, considering each other more, like really, like. And I'm seeing more of that in a relationship. Just like, are we really considering each other's needs or just ourselves? You know, I think we gotta, keep pushing the needle on that.
But I think the thing I'm leaving people with based on what you just said, is asking yourself the question about how you engage other people. Because that whole, like, are we new? Like, are we?
Yeah, are we? Yeah.
I feel like people, there's such a discomfort with asking yourself about what you're doing in whatever situation you're in. Like, the roles you play in these things.
Yeah, because, we got to shift from the individuality. Like, I can't even pinpoint how we got there, but we there. Yeah. And, versus like, nah, this community, we ain't going to really survive too well if we don't figure that out. Yeah. And this is important too, man. Like, really studying our history. Like, we the next generation. We the next OGs. Like, if we don't get our history from our parents and grandparents, or even just study it, beyond what we were in the U.S., like again, like that book I mentioned, like there's, African, indigenous, all these other things that way preceded us that got it right. Yeah. Like that understood community. Like there's an article I read too about indigenous tribes in the U.S. How they view, and it was in that same book too. So it's just it's a thing where how they view like homosexual people as they're highly esteemed in their communities. Like one refers to them as gatekeepers, and in a good way, in terms of a person being able to hold two things at one time, like having duality, two perspectives, like because that's just a nature of life. It's not all of either. Like even look at the yin yang sign. There's a whole bunch of things. That's how balance is achieved. So somebody that can hold whatever that is, like that's not a small thing. whether that's masculine, feminine, whether that's, you know, I don't know, whatever the two things are, but that level of objectivity and truth, even holding yourself to that and how you view things, I think is just really important. But again, like, history's gonna be mad. We gotta know our history, like, even when it comes to religion and the church, like, all of it, like, because if not, it's just we're not gonna really get to where we need to.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy you came.
You're funny.
Thank you so much for being here and being such a presence.
Yeah, for sure.
Cheesing at me.
This is great.
Right?
This is dope. Yeah, this is very nice.
I told you.
You bought these?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wayfarer.com.
balling.
I wish.
That's dope.
Soon enough.
Yeah, well, look, shit.
Soon enough.
I can't tell.
Soon enough.
It's dope.
Well, thank you all for tuning in to another episode of The Space We Create. I am your host, Aaila. We had Brittany on here, and I really hope that, I'm sure you all feel very encouraged and inspired to build community, to double check your mental health and get support, talk to someone, express yourself, share your needs. You never know who is in your community who wants to support you. Put yourself out there. Be confident in these rooms and stand firm on who you are as an individual.
For sure.
Love y'all. See y'all next time.